Bobby Buck Show, where we interview the up-and-coming artists, entrepreneurs, and movers and shakers. All right, y'all. Here we are today on the Bobby Buck Show on the podcast. And today, our topic is going to be about the Constitution. Was it written to include Black people or not? And I got I call them all specialists in each of their fields and everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get each of them a chance to introduce themselves, who they are with their own 30-second elevator pitch. So I'm going to start off first with, we go with OG Man.
Well, my name is Manuel Campito. In terms of the Constitution, I don't really feel that the Constitution was written for us or included us. I look at the 39 people that signed the Constitution, not one of them was Black. A lot of them were slave owners. So, of course, I don't figure the Constitution was written for us at all. I know about the Articles of Confederation, which was written prior to the U.S. Constitution. A lot of it is included in the Constitution as the first 10 copies of the first 10 articles of the Constitution are the Bill of Rights, or so-called Bill of Rights, that were included. So, and there's been a lot of articles that's been, or amendments, I say, that's been included in the Constitution for over the years, But no, I don't think the Constitution was written for us. And I believe that Black people, over the time, I could look back all the way through slavery. We had Black soldiers. You had Black soldiers that fought for the Confederate, and you had Black soldiers that fought for the Union. And everybody that fought for freedom. They didn't fight for no equal rights, no civil rights. They fought for their own freedom that was promised to them. So no, I do not think the Constitution was written for us, nor do I really think it includes us today. I still think that we're colonial subjects. We're second-class citizens in this country. But a lot of times we figure if we fight for the white man, he will include us. But it ain't been that way. We know soldiers that came back home from the war had to ride on the back of the bus. So no, it's not included us. That's my feeling.
All right. Well, I know you was ready to get into it, but I was mainly going to get an introduction going with everybody.
That's my introduction. That's my introduction. Yeah. Quit playing with it. Let's quit playing with it.
All right, Ted, you go for your next introduction.
I'm sorry?
All right, Ted, you introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm next. Hi, my hat right, man. I'm Ted Hayes. Some of you know who I am. I'm an activist, civil rights, homelessness activist. This is my 39th year since I went to Skid Row on purpose and stepped on the sidewalks for 8 years, purposefully on Skid Row sidewalks, and learned quite a bit about the future. And I prepared from those 8 years in sidewalk and then in Dome Village, I prepared for the future, which I am thankful to you, Bobby Buck, for maintaining this platform, because I'm glad to be here because I want people to know that there is a great future for us as a people, but we just got to look for it. But I agree with Brother G-Man that the Constitution was not written for us, nor for children, nor for women, and nor for a whole bunch of other folks that are now in this country. But what we do have in the Constitution is we have some, well, let me cut it to the quick. What I've learned from my ancestors and other peoples, when you're in captivity in the captor's land, like it or not, it's your responsibility to study that captor, study his ways, and outsmart him. And we'll talk about that.
All right. Next up is Mr. Brandon Ivy.
Thank you, Brother Buck, and it's an honor to be here with you guys. I've heard of Ted Hayes. I've heard of what he's done in the past, so it's an honor to be here with you guys. But my name is Brandon Ivy. I am a Morehouse graduate, class of '98. I'm the founder and CEO of Ivy League Crypto Academy. I teach crypto education for a living, especially for people of color to learn about the new financial system an economic system that we must learn know about so that we can participate in that. I believe that Bitcoin is freedom, that there's no barrier of entry, no matter what the color of your skin is, just your ability to learn. And unfortunately, I believe that people who look like us don't even know about it or how it exists. So I make it a point to try to teach and make aware of this new financial system. I also do not believe that the United States Constitution was written for, on behalf, or in the service of people of color. It only was written in the service of one entity, and that is the white European male. But we have had amendments to the Constitution that have tried to address these issues that we are still fighting for today. We can get into that later on.
All right, Melvin Ishmael Johnson.
Melvin Ishmael Johnson, Drama Stage Qumran, Bimel Press, uh, working with writing a lot of books now in African American history. When I view the Constitution as an economic document. To understand the Constitution is to understand it as an economic document in relationship to the fact that they talk about the descendants they talk about the slaves and all that kind of stuff, but they disguise it with a lot of disguised language, etc., like that. Um, but the Constitution is mainly about the center point of the Constitution was about property, about chattel slavery, etc., like that. And we can get into that later on when we talk about that.
All right, and Ray.
Greetings, everyone. I'm honored to be here with you, gentlemen, and I'd like to share my thought with you. My name is Raymond Lewis. I am a white Autochthon, descendant of Choctaw Indians. And no, the Constitution wasn't made for dark colored carbon people. And I stand on who gave them that idea to write this Constitution, and where did they get a lot of this information from?
All right. Okay. Well, here we go. Well, what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bust
Bobby,
through
can I
my.
just say something real quick? I forgot. I
Okay.
just
Yeah.
wanted to acknowledge all you OGs on this platform today. It's important that we gray-haired dudes let it show and let our young men know that it's good to live. They're so afraid to live in, to grow up to be just nothing. They look at their fathers and mothers, so they think, my body is new and young. I may as well use and party now, eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow I'm gonna look like my daddy. And so we got a movement going on out here in Venice Beach where we call it great power. No matter what color, race you are, show your age. Be proud that God has allowed you to live this long. So that's all I want to say. Shalom and peace.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Take your time, Lil G. Take your time. You'll get there when you get there. All right. Just enjoy the walk. Okay.
I
It's a
got a
real slow
little
walk.
bit.
On,
All right.
Brother
on
Ted
the
Hayes,
oh,
you look just like my father. Real talk.
I get that a
Real
lot
talk.
from people.
Real talk. I got a picture. You look just like. Yeah.
That's Christ. That's Christ in me. Okay,
Yep.
that's Christ in me.
I,
Shine that
I,
light out, and it'll take on any character you want to take on. I'm honored that you would say something like that to me, my brother.
I share.
Thank you so much. Because you're a good-looking brother.
yeah,
As well
family.
as you.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, we digress.
All right. Then. So well, I'm here. I'm Bobby Buck. I'm gonna come up with my first question to get some things started, and then, like I said, we can go into some other areas that y'all already are ready to conversate about. But what was your first encounter with the idea that the Constitution might not fully include Black people?
Can I go
Well,
with that one?
go ahead.
Can I take that first? Being that I'm amongst these giants, I'm a giant too. I think I'm the littlest of the great giants here. Well, yeah. Okay, the first time I really had to take a critical look at the Constitution is when I took a class with Professor Ely at LACC. Powerful brother, all love to him. I failed that class because I was on another thing when I went there, but It really, when I took that class and the discussions that we had about the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and all these other cases, it was. I'm gonna say this off the top. It wasn't meant for anyone other than they say they're white, but uh, not the native. It wasn't for the native people. It wasn't for the black or Indian or anything. It was for the ones. It was for the Masons who draw that up. Who understood that language. The lay people didn't understand that. Until I would say later on down the line when certain political figures want to lobby for positions in the South, and they had to go into these South in these back home places where a lot of races and black and white people races at, and they had to get these two people to come together to vote for this person so we can change the roads to bring in schools. But that mentality of the people there didn't want to come together with the so-called blacks or the native people to bring this person into office to change the way they're living. So they stayed like that. Hence, other part of the country started developing, and then the South was still back. That's just one idea that when we ever discussed it, I came about the Constitution, and it wasn't really for us. It's a lot more involved in that too.
Okay. All right. Who's
Well, you
next?
said something a minute ago. Go back to what you just said. Something about they didn't know it. It wasn't for the layperson. Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah,
Whoever wrote the Constitution, them white racists, all those cats, Europeans to be identified, and the Masons. You said that they knew that the average layperson could not understand it
right,
because most people did not know how to read. They were not literate, were
right,
they? That's all I
right,
want to know. Thank you.
Okay.
right,
All
right.
right.
On
Anybody
that
else?
same
Anybody else?
note,
Yeah.
like what Ted was just saying, we look at the signers of the Constitution: George Washington, John Landon, Nicholas Gilman, Nathaniel Gorman, Rush King, William Sampson. I mean, come on, man. All these was white guys. They were property owners.
Right.
Okay, they were property owners. And the other thing about they were criminals. They rebelled against Britain, against England. They were criminals. If they hadn't won the Revolutionary War, they'd have been executed. So we need to realize that they were criminals. And I say that not to be disparaging, but the fact that anytime we try to make a move in this country, we trying to label it as criminals. Even look at the Black Lives Matter movement or the Black Panther Party or the Civil Rights movement. Anytime we try to make any kind of moves, we're labeled as criminals. So the whole government, even the Constitution, that electoral system, come on, all the type of things that they've done put us at a disadvantage anyway with the Constitution. And now you see with the Constitution, you see the Supreme Court doing what they want to do. So when you talk about the Constitution, the division of all these different branches of government, they doing what they want to do.
Okay.
You got something to share on that?
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that the first time I was aware, I was born in Compton, California, but my parents moved out to the Valley. And so when I was in school, I went to school where I was predominantly maybe one or two black kids in the class. And it might have been maybe fifth or sixth grade when we were studying about America being created and putting on a pedestal, the Christopher Columbuses, the George Washingtons, the Thomas Jeffersons as heroes, and with the Declaration of Independence. And I was smart enough to know, because of my parents that would taught me actual history, where I would question, I would say, well, wait a second. The Declaration of Independence, where so-called all men are created equal, there was still slavery after that, right? And the teacher would say yes. I said, so how is it that you can write a constitution claiming that all men are created equal when people who look like me were not being created equal or treated equally at the time? Maybe 10 years old, 9 years old at the time, and I was labeled a troublemaker for asking the question and showing the hypocrisy of the document, and that it did not reflect all of us as they wanted us to be seen. And then the only response that I remember at that time that they come back with, well, there's been amendments to the Constitution. I said, well, there shouldn't have needed to be amendments if what they were saying to begin with is true. So what you're telling me is, at that time, it all came down to property, that people who look like me, even women, were not considered men, or the have the right to delegate law or in engage in any form of political representation. Because that was the whole thing. We don't want representation, taxation without representation. And so that was my first, before I got to constitutional law in high school and college, first time I was exposed to the Constitution and not representing us.
All right, all right. Mel, you
Uh,
want to chime in?
yeah, yeah. I guess my first time is, I come up in a totally segregated society in the Mississippi Delta, Greenville, Mississippi, right in the heart of the Mississippi Delta. And I guess I realized that it's when we got our history class, and I come across the concept of three-fifths of a man that they embedded in the Constitution to disguise the what was happening in slavery, and wanted to be able to use it as a political tool. So I guess that was the time when I realized that it was something different uh, uh, with this particular document, with the Constitution. Hmm.
All right. Okay.
On
Yeah.
that, on that, Bobby.
Yes.
On that note, I was just thinking about it. I never did good in school. I was kicked out of school all the time. Elementary, junior high, high school. It wasn't until I went to prison that I read the Constitution, because I went to the law library. I was trying to fight my case, and I realized that a lot of words I didn't really understand, like search and seizure. I never heard no search and seizure until I got arrested, but I didn't really know what it meant. So, I'm going through the law library, and I began to read the Constitution. And even when I got to the jury, you had a right to a jury trial by your peers. And I realized I didn't have no jury by my peers, but the white people on there. And I understood what the word peers was, and how they would play games, the word games with us. I know you're not my peer, okay? So I didn't learn about the Constitution until I went to prison and started reading. And then, like the brother said, I loved history. When I started reading history. And that's what started to reveal a lot of stuff about the Constitution that, like I said, they was criminals. These were criminals. They came over to America under the English banner, and then they turned on them, okay? So I started understanding that this whole document was hypocrisy. It was hypocrisy. And even today, when I hear black politicians talking about how we defending the Constitution, I'm wondering where they went to. Where they been at over the last 40, 50 years, 100 years. Because the Constitution wasn't meant for us. How can we defend it?
All right. All right. Anybody want to pick up back on that?
I first learned about the Constitution when I was in elementary school. I went to segregated school, of course, and they taught us the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, the Declaration of Independence. In a black school, I learned these things, and then in my teenage years, I was doing some work with some militants in my hometown of Aberdeen, Maryland, and I learned from some brothers then, some militant brothers then, that the Constitution was not written for the slave people, women, or anybody else, but it was written for basically white European property owners, and they in fact said, and I kind of halfway agree with them today, looking over history and the way things have been going in this country, and what's called republic, not democracy. They before they said that unless you own property or has some sort of financial or real estate interest, you cannot vote. You're not allowed to vote. Period. And then, of course, they later, decades later, they changed that and made it allowable for anybody to vote. Of course, except for black people and others, but any white person of age could vote. In my opinion, that was the beginning of the downfall of this capitalist country. They should have left it that way because now all you got to do is offer somebody a phone, a meal, something, and you get their vote. And that's not the way, I don't think that's the way democracy or republic is supposed to work, but that's okay. It's part of the learning process. So, yeah, it was not written for us. Absolutely right. They knew that themselves. And they say it. They admit it. They flat out admit it wasn't right, that they were wrong. It's a matter of what are we, the captives, are going to do about it. It's one thing to keep saying Massa is wrong. Massa is wrong. Massa is wrong. This is why Massa is wrong. Yeah, we get it. Massa know he's wrong. But how do we
Mm,
deal with Massa in reality of where we are now?
right.
I
Okay.
want to I want to pick on what Brother Hayes you just said right there about the ability to vote based on owning property.
Hmm.
And when Reconstruction happened right after at the time of Lincoln being assassinated,
1865.
yes, sir, and we were promised 40 acres and a mule, which meant you were going to be giving former slaves access to property, which meant ownership, which meant land rights, which meant the ability to vote. And then that was rejected and rescinded. And so now you have a bunch of freed so-called American citizens now because of the 13th Amendment that are not property owners, that don't hold any titles or land, so therefore they don't have the right to vote. It was built in that way. So I just wanted to add that on that for what you said, Brother Hayes.
Yeah, and that's true. And maybe, Bobby, in the future, we could discuss this whole voting process on another podcast in the future to kind of clarify some things. But the most important thing to me, it goes back to what brother um the one I look like his daddy.
Big
Brother
Ray
Ray.
Lewis, Ray Lewis, Ray Lewis,
Ray
Mr.
Lewis.
Lewis.
Yeah, Ray. Back to what he said. That is for us Choctaw slave descendants and Jim Crow survivors. For us, that is the key element in where we are. We are laymen, laypersons. We are illiterate. Right now, according to school administrators, I've talked to several of them, and they say that from kindergarten to collegiate university, average out reading literacy. We as a people have about a fourth grade reading literacy, average of people. And some people, oh, that's horrible. I said, oh, that's wonderful. Why? Because there was a time it was against the law for us to read, especially if you got caught reading the Bible. That was a death sentence. So my movement, what we're doing over here, is we are working on plans to take the truth that we have learned and boil it down to a fourth grade level uh, understanding. And we're going to use the computer and other technologies. And we're planning a movement that will sweep the nation around this thing you see in the back of me right now. And
Mm.
it's that is word. Should go like that. Yeah.
You right.
That right there is a very key component in what we are doing. And you recognize what's in its background. But we'll talk about that more later. But I'm done. It's about ignorance. The issue is ignorance, man. That's the bottom line. Ignorance. People don't know. They don't know.
On
All right.
that topic
So,
right there,
Yeah.
on
yeah.
that point right there, I agree with Ted Hayes. 'Cause I see it today. I go into different organizations, and people come to these organizations with no knowledge, but want to vote, but want to vote on what you're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you what you're talking about, too.
You know what I mean? They don't even know what the issues are. And so when you get a bunch of illiterate people voting, you gonna have a mad. That's what it is. Like we got it. I mean, when I was in the Black Panther Party, we had political education classes every day. Every day. Our community is not politically educated, nor do they know history. But our leaders, and I thank Ted for what he's doing, they're not trying to educate nobody.
Why should
How
they?
you gonna vote and you don't even know what the Constitution say? I don't believe in letting people vote that's ignorant.
Okay, wow, that's a very interesting thought coming from you,
Yeah.
GG man. Because some folks would really take issue with you on that. You saying that that you're segregating the population and you're taking their freedom away. Every person should have a right to vote. One man, one vote.
I
And
don't, I, I, I
but
don't
your
believe that.
argument, if I'm hearing
I
you
don't believe
clearly,
that.
if I'm hearing you clearly, your argument is that why should we let ignorant people
Yeah, I want to know that. Give me the reason for that one. I need to know that. Straighten that up for me. I need to know, Ted. Straighten out why I got an ignorant person I know that's dumb as hell that's gonna go vote on some stuff. That's why you got a bunch of Trump people and all kind of people, Biden people, Kamala Harris people. Y'all don't even know who these people is. You know what I mean? You know what? I'm gonna tell you another thing. We vote like Obama.
Uh-oh.
I talked to Bobby. I talked to a lot of people. Some of us ain't voted till we got 40 and 50 years old. The first time we ever voted in our whole life, cause we was ignorant. Cause we was ignorant. You know what I mean? We didn't know nothing.
Right.
And now we after 50 years, I'm 50 years old. I love Obama because he black and I'm gonna vote. That don't make no sense to me.
I got a question for you guys on that topic, because this was a big topic in the 1800s or the 1900s about an entire population of people that never had access to education, did not know how to read, and didn't even understand what they were reading, have the comprehension of it. So there was this whole the talented tenth. You had to have the elite class that was able to determine the well-being and the rights of those who could not do for themselves, until we reached a point where there was not only equal opportunity or equal access to education, but equal access to quality education. Now, there was a movie that came out called Starship Troopers that talked about the only people who were considered citizens were those who passed a certain test, and then once they passed that test, were considered a citizen and gained the right to vote. So this is a controversial topic, even on the right and the left. If you look at those that were vote for the Republican side, for the MAGA, those on the left side, based on race or color, who should legally have the right to vote, and should there be a qualifier? Because right now, the Republicans use certain qualifiers as a way to suppress the vote with certain ID and this and that. But if that's the case, should there be a qualifier to have the right to vote? Or is it one man, one vote, based on the fact that you were born as a natural born citizen of the United States? I'll leave that to you, brothers.
I'll say this here, Brandon. I'm gonna ask you this question. You teach some classes in certain area. Brother Hayes, you got a movement going on. Melvin, you got drama stage. Do you let any ignorant people come into your group and start voting?
Well, well.
Well,
Like the military says,
I just want to know. Could you answer? Give me a yes or no. If somebody just walk into your group,
no.
ignorant as hell, do you start letting them vote?
I'm gonna comment on that.
Yeah, Ray.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that person by the hand, and I'm gonna help them, and try to help them, and try to teach them so they can vote on it and stand on their own.
Do you let them vote right then and there?
I'm gonna tutor them something. If they can hold on to that, they can vote.
Then you gonna tell them what to do there, basically.
No,
Pretty much, you gonna educate them. You gonna do a Trump thing. You gonna tell them what you want them to know. Then go ahead and vote. Now you got the information now.
But I'm just saying, I'm not the one. I'm not the one to say that just because a person is that kind of way, they ain't got no rights.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, everybody know me in the brigade. You ain't coming up in here voting. You ain't even coming up here voting. Till you in the brigade, till you learn what's going on, you don't get no vote. Ain't nobody voting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, you can't even go to the Army without taking a test, or the Marines. You can't even go to the Boy Scouts and just get in there. No.
That is a universal principle that all people have practiced throughout history, even in the tribal cultures. You don't just walk in and expect to be given equal opportunities at what's going on. You got to earn your way in. That's leadership, but that's participation. You got to have ownership. And so I don't know, brothers, but what's going to happen to this country, I'm not sure. But I think, as brother said, at some point, there's this conversation is going to have to hit the national debate. Do we make an amendment to receive one man, one vote, everybody can vote no matter what, and put in something else like property ownership, or you got to demonstrate that you are somehow involved in society, being responsible, that this society means something to you, that you're going to protect it, or will there be some kind
Yes.
of compromise? But the conversation is going to have to happen if America is to survive.
Here's
Now,
So
my
I
thought.
agree with
I like to say this. Well, the reason I think the voting, if understood, is so important from a historical point of view. You have to understand what happened after Reconstruction. When the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment came into play and the descendants of the chattel slaves of America, it opened up for a minute. But what happened is the violent forces that came
Teach,
into play
teach.
that made it dangerous to even
Sharif,
consider
yeah,
voting because what you got to remember after Reconstruction, 90% of the descendants of the chattel slaves of America was in that Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, southern area. That's where we were. And we had the numbers. And the Europeans, the whites, they were a minority, and they had to keep the the descendants of the chattel slaves of America and their supporters from utilizing the vote. Now that's one thing that happened. Now the brother mentioned earlier about the talented tenth. Now that was one of the biggest mistakes that we made, and we're still paying for that because what happened is that Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, he developed the concept of the talented 10, where if 10% of the people got educated, you would reach back for the other 90%
yeah,
and
right.
elevate them. But what happened is it
Tell us
was
what happened, brother. Tell us what happened.
the type of education you got, and those talented 10 were receiving a westernized education, and that made them align themselves with the power structure. That's what we have going on today. And when I was coming up in the Mississippi Delta, and the brother that come from Morehouse in the 30s, our principal was named G.P. Maddox. He came from Morehouse in the 30s, and he came to the Mississippi Delta and set up the historical high school, Coleman High School, that I went to. And he brought the name of the football team and the colors, the Tigers and the maroon and white and all that kind of stuff. But what he also brought with him is he brought the Greek fraternities, the Kappas, and up until that time, the blacks, our people have been controlled by the Prince Hall Masons in these areas and in the pulpits and all that kind of stuff. See, and they replaced that. This is where we got to come to grips with right now when we look at the group that call themselves the Divine Nine, these fraternities and sororities, and we forget that the brother wrote the book Stolen Legacy, and he pointed out in the book how damaging these fraternities are to the black community. And,
Indeed.
and we seem like we didn't forgot about that. That was in 1954 when he wrote this book. But when you look at all of our leadership, especially in the southern states, but in the cities too, they are connected to these Greek fraternities. And we're going to have to come to grips with what the brother said in that book. And then one more other thing. Just before the southern, just before the South fell, when the Union conquered Richmond, Virginia, and Abraham Lincoln he came down to Richmond, and all the black people ran out, they worshiping him like he was God and all like that. And people forget what Abraham Lincoln said then. You never hear that. He said, you know, I am not, you thank God, don't thank me. And he said, now you are now as free as anybody else in this country. And if anybody get in front of your freedom, you take your weapons and your bayonets and you teach them that you are just as free as they are. And see, when we talk about Lincoln, we talk about everything about that. He didn't say
Of
nothing
what he said right there. You're right.
about and all of that. He told you you've been fighting in the Civil War, the blues and all that kind of stuff like that. Anybody get in your way, take your weapons and teach them that you are free. See,
My brother, to add on to what you just said right there, a lot of people don't read. A lot of people, as the other brother, Brandon said, they read, but they can't comprehend what they read. But right there, the first law that really addressed the chattel slaves, the Emancipation Proclamation, the first law, right in that law, he tells you, black people, former slaves, you take your weapon and you defend yourself. People
yeah,
don't talk about that much
Yeah,
concerning
yeah,
Lincoln.
that's true.
He
But
may as well have been a Black Panther.
when the Black Panther Party picked up their guns, what did they do? See,
They
they
fought
say
as a
one
black
thing,
community.
they would say one thing, but then they do another thing. See,
Oh,
we like you say about reading. See, we don't read because we read. We would know that the American government broke 500 treaties with the Indians.
Right.
500 treaties. Why do you think they would do a treaty with us and keep it? What makes you think they would create an amendment or anything and keep it? That's what I'm talking about being ignorant. We come out of Abraham Lincoln. We got the right to vote. The Ku Klux Klan take back over the South through violence. We didn't pick up the gun. What happened to the Buffalo Soldiers or the 54th Regiment? They send them out west to be the Buffalo Soldiers and fight the Indians. Okay? We pick up the gun against everybody but the person who is our enemy. Because he has a way of tricking our brains, man. He trick our brains with all kind of stuff. Why you think rap is such a big thing today? Everybody want to be a rapper. We don't want to be no scientist, no engineer. We don't want to create no cities. We built little black Wall Street. What did they do? Burnt it down. Did we fight back? So no, there's a lot of hypocrisy in this Constitution. And I say we need to write our own Constitution. Like Ray said, why did they write? Who gave them the right to write a Constitution, include us in there? Because most people don't know that America is just a corporation. It's only a corporation. It's not God. But black
Can I
folks
tell
think it's
you?
God.
Can I segue
um,
in there, OG? You okay? Eric brothers, y'all sent a Brother Johnson. Everything y'all saying is like right on point, And I'm thinking we should take this different perspective of looking at it, like like Ted Hayes. You were saying that got to get some kind of recognition, right? Um, I see in 2010 there was a lot of stuff going on. They like pulled a cover back about all the treaties and stuff that America and the Masons was entrenched, and America was bankrupt, and some guy came in and did some kind of flag thing. He made the flag in order to, I don't know what happened, but in 2010, America was bankrupt, right? And to keep it going, some citizen came and did something with the flag to make it keep going. But anyway, it was exposed that the United States of America was corrupt, and the UN came in, right? This when they started talking about how to bring in uh, true justice for the American society, because it's not happening within the United States. We need international recognition. That's where I think we'll get some kind of some muscle to hold people accountable for their wrongdoings. So like America, it took all the Indian stuff, which is us, because you gotta understand, all people with our color. If Indians was already here, they looked at like us, because that's what America means. Copper colored people, and everybody, all you gentlemen are copper colored. We are the original people here, So when these other people did come here, they wasn't like I don't think that they were completely pale. They looked at somewhat like us because they knew there was some kind of something went down that took this land right up under our nose and our history. The Pope sent out a edict saying apologizing for what's been done to our people, but and all this is in the UN. Then the UN come up with this other thing about the international decade of African descent, right? It's three categories: justice, recognition, and development. Nobody's not talking about these things. It's a lot. Like you were saying, people don't read. It's not that I don't think people don't read. Is that I don't think they're exposed to the right stuff to read, man.
What we're doing in our
You know,
movement,
and
recognizing what we're doing in our movement, recognizing those very points, is we're creating in people, especially young people, a desire to read. They have to want to read. If you don't want to read, you're not gonna read. That's how I learned to read. I learned to really read in the seventh grade. I started reading comic books. Comic books. Batman, not Batman, but I can stand Batman. But Spider-Man, the Hulk, the Fantastic Four. I wanted to know what them cats were saying because it looked interesting. So I began to read very simply. And by, let's see, February that year, I was a proficient reader in the seventh grade. And then I want to read more.
oh,
And I read. And see, when I graduated from high school, I didn't go to college. I went to the library. I went to, hold on, please. I went to the library, and I went to the basement of the library, and I studied antiquity and governments and society and those and philosophies and the various religions and built what I wanted. And so what we're doing is we're creating an environment where young people and others are going to want to read because we're exposing power that has been hidden within us for quite a while.
I wanna say
brother
something.
Ted Hayes,
Ted said,
you hit on
comment.
something.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say one thing, and I'd like to leave. Brother Ted, you hit on something. Okay, about reading. Yes, I never graduated through high school, but I read through when I was in prison. I read a lot and I took my test, and I failed still. But what came back is that I read at a college level, so I had really
You
good
brought it up.
reading
You brought it up.
comprehension. I had very good reading comprehension. In that, I start looking at okay for the simple fact. I think we as a people should start looking at how people are start describing us. All right. Like for one, you can look at this form called the SF 181. It's the form of race and ethnicity. It's got, black, white, and everything all in there. And if you look at all five of them, if you look at four of them, they're pretty precise and it explains who they are. But then when you get to black and African American, it's so disrespectful. I'm like, any wealthy to do or educated person would say something about this, but they're not. And when I bring it up, people don't really want to say nothing about it. If you look at it, it says, I'm gonna just read it. I memorize it. It says, Black African American, a person having origin of any racial groups of Africa. That don't make no sense. But all the other ones is being defined. I don't know if you got that form. I can send Bobby. I can send you a copy of it, and maybe it probably is off topic, but I'm. It's all about semantics. It's about syntax. It's about wordings. If we don't, and English language has got us under a spell. If we don't look at the syntax and the narrative, what these words mean and what they're talking about, and don't stand up and get a good definition of it that we all can agree upon, we're not going to go nowhere because we won't keep battling. And I
all
kind of
right.
see kind of where we're going now because we got different ideas, but we want to help each other. But it's kind of I don't know. It's something there. It's
Okay,
the
Brandon.
words. English
I wanna,
language is under a spell.
Okay,
I want to,
I'll let Brandon pick it back on it.
Well, I want to go right back to what OG man was talking about when he's talked about America as a corporation. So I always believe, I always say, education is key. Education is everything. And when you look at it from the words of how this nation was founded, how it rebelled against the British Empire, the Declaration of Independence, all of that was transactional. It was based on the fact that these, as he said, these criminals believed that they were being taxed unfairly without representation, that it all came down at the end of the day to money. And when we look at the advancements that as African Americans we've had in this nation on fighting for our rights, it always came down to not necessarily color, but the dollar. How were they impacted economically? The bus boycotts in the 60s, civil rights movement, everything comes down to economics. When you release the slaves, what did this country do? They went back and said, we are going to give money back to the slave owners for their loss of property. We're going to give them tax benefits. We're going to give them tax breaks. We're not going to allow the former slaves that they had to own property to compete. We're going to have a system in place where they got to come back to that same land that they were slaves on as indentured servitudes. So now we've got decades more of poverty in our own nation, our own people, pushed down the road, and still no education happening for these people to even know the rights that they have. So there was no difference in slavery and indentured servitude. So if we want to have some change, we've got to tackle not only education, but we've got to tackle how can we have an economic movement in our people where the dollar at the end of the day overrides their racist thoughts, that the system that they've designed to be in their place is no longer, let me just a sidebar on this. When we see the MAGA movement that's happening right now, that they feel that their leader is being unfairly treated in the justice system, a system that they designed and created to hold us back, is now holding them accountable. So what do they want to do? Change the rules. Let's let's suspend the Constitution. Let's be a dictator. Let's make sure that as we are now becoming minorities, and over the next decades, as the color of us rises, and I'd love to hear from Brother Hayes on the 14th Amendment about who is considered a citizen, immigration coming into place, with more people of color having the right to vote because they were born in America. All of that comes into place. But at the end of the day, the dollar is what moves everything. So I just wanted to put that in there. Education and finances is how we're going to overcome this.
Very well spoken.
Yeah, I would like to.
Ted Hayes. Go ahead, Melvin.
Go ahead.
Please, Mr. Melvin, you go right ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was gonna mention is what Brother Ivy mentioned about the economics, and I like to just point out in the 30s, after the collapse of the economy, you had people like Du Bois, Paul Robeson, Langston Hughes, etc. They wanted to develop a national Black history theater company situated in 24 areas of the United States. And the United States government destroyed that because they thought it was too many communists involved in that. But what I want to point out is what was happening in the 1950s that affects us right now. We were coming up to what they call the school desegregation case, Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. And the white power structure in the South, which really controlled the whole political apparatus in the whole United States, they come up with two organizations that a lot of people don't know about. One was called the White Citizens Council. That was 1952, to take over, to rule, to manage the KKK. And then you had the Sovereignty Commission, which was like a spy organization that spied upon all of the leaderships and all that kind of stuff like that. and they had four major plans. They had a point. They number one, they needed to get to cut down on the black population in the South. So they drove a lot of the blacks to the cities and stuff like that, the cities where we have now to dilute their power. Also, they wanted to set up segregated schools, private schools, because they were no way in the world, even to this day, they didn't want to go with school desegregation and all that kind of stuff. And you still got these private schools that's still segregated down south. And then they were going to boycott any black, wealthy black, white, or any like that that supported the school desegregation, et cetera, like that. So it's important to understand these important points that happened in the 50s. But now I also want to go back to the point that I mentioned earlier. Don't underestimate the problem that we in now have a lot to do with the shift from Scottish Rite Masons controlling the black community being overtaken by the Greek fraternities that we have. When you look at when you look at right now, all of your mayors, your black mayors, these small cities, the big cities where we at right now, you're gonna have somebody from these Greek fraternities that's the mayor, that et cetera, like that. LA, New York, Chicago, you go over there. So you got to come back to what the brother said in the book, Stolen Legacy. If the major problem that we got right now is that we have allowed these Greek fraternities, et cetera, like that, to take over our community, and they don't have their vested interest is caught up with the latter part of the captain's power structure. That's what we're dealing with right now. I just want to mention that.
Bobby, how much time we have left?
Okay. I was getting ready to say we're going to be winding down, so we can do like a little closing argument, so we can pick this up again, and also we can work on some other topics and stuff too down the road.
Can you hear me, Bobby? I know you can't see me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear OG man?
Can you hear me?
All right.
I just want to respond to what Ray said about the UN. I can't think of the lady name that's over the UN, man. She got a black woman in the UN that's head of the UN for the United States. She voted against everything in Palestine, all that stuff. We've been in the UN for decades. So it's not like black people ain't been in the UN. Our case should be in the UN. We shouldn't even be going to the U.S. government. We should be in the UN. Asking for our human rights. All that civil rights stuff, I don't even want no civil rights. I want my human rights. That's what I want. You know what I mean? They tell you you're a citizen because that's what they can tell you. You're a little kid. You don't know that. You grow up, you go to school, or you're a citizen, you're not. Yeah, okay. You're not understanding. Then like what you said, Melvin, about the theater. Because the Greek college and all that kind of sorority. Because we like to imitate them. Everything we've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years is imitating our European conquerors. That's what we be doing. So we never wrote no real African. I mean, I looked at things like Spike Lee and all. Why we don't even make no pictures of Africa? Why don't we don't even make no movies of Africa? We got all these black directors and.
I thought that was a movie. Black
that
Panther.
was one, but that really wasn't Africa. That really wasn't Africa. That was just, Black Panther was a good movie. You know what I mean? But it wasn't Africa.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And like some of my Muslim brothers, that was a great movie. We ought to try to be like what do they call it? What's the name of the city?
Wait. Didn't they just make another movie recently about a black queen in Africa?
Yeah.
I don't know about the black queen, but I'm even like
in Africa, right? A warrior woman.
The warrior queen. I seen it. I seen the warrior queen. I don't know if that was true, but it was a warrior queen.
Excuse me. I don't go to movies, but I'm just pointing out that there are some movies out there. It's not completely whitewashed. I don't think, is it, my brothers?
Well, when you got like 2% of 100%, I think it's whitewashed. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You get 2%, 2%, and I'm gonna tell you another thing. It's like a Superfly. Like black people, they only like killing white people in movies. See, we make a movie killing a gang of white people, we be happy. You come out the movie, But when it comes to reality, we ain't gonna do nothing. The police pull up, we get quiet as hell. You know, and so, and then we try to imitate everything. While the Europeans are trying to imitate us. Look at rap went all over the world. Our way of dressing go all over the world. But then we'll turn around and look at W.D. Du Bois. I mean, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. The one that taught us how to read in slavery, Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass. So about reading, he was a slave and learned how to read. So I don't have no excuse for people. Like you said, you went to the library. I spent a lot of time in the law library, but even now I go to the library. You know what I mean? People don't want to learn how to read because a
That's
lot of
where
people.
that's where, gentlemen, we're almost out of time, Bobby.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I think that if this is a good panel. I think we should come back and because we
Yeah, I
never
believe
really
so too.
discussed the
Yeah.
Constitution that much. We spent a lot of time talking about what's wrong. I want to talk about what we're going to do, the reality. What
That can be
realistic?
part two. Part
Yeah,
Oh,
it
two.
can
I
be
like
part
that.
two. Yeah. Yeah, it can be
What are
part
we
two.
gonna do? That's part two.
And I
Yeah.
want to share with y'all what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'll share what I'm doing.
Hey,
Yep. Just
There
all
we go.
share.
That sounds like a plan. I think we came together, got this going. So, and also, hey, y'all, people, y'all seeing this? This is real, raw, and uncut. We're gonna have to come up with a segment. So all of us together come up with a segment for this. We can all just come back and do it again.
yeah,
do we
I
get
would like to
do
come
we get
back and
closing
share with you.
comments?
I would like to come back, brothers
Do
and
we get
sisters.
closing comments?
Yeah, we get some closing comments. So go ahead. You started off, Mel.
No, I said, okay, I just want to be quickly mention that on December the 17th, 1951, Paul Robeson and William Patterson took the United States before the UN and accused them of attempted genocide against the descendants of the chattel slaves of America. And for that, both of them paid a steep price for that. And that document documented 237 cases against the descendants of the chattel slaves of America, lynching, burning up soldiers in the uniform, and all that kind of stuff like that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then before I leave, you mentioned Frederick Douglass. Keep in mind that Frederick Douglass became a constitutional scholar. He uh, 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 he broke away from William Lloyd Garrison because William Lloyd Garrison he thought the Constitution was a satanic document. But Frederick Douglass come to the conclusion that the Constitution had within it, because of the power structure, used all of these disguised language to hide slavery. He felt, Frederick Douglass felt that within the Constitution, it it held the potential freedom or the direction that the descendants of the slaves should move in. He saw, he foresaw like the 13, 14, 15 Amendment. He was one of the driving forces behind that. So keep that in mind about Frederick Douglass.
All right,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. All right, Brandon Ivy, closing comments.
Yeah, let's bring it back to the Constitution. So I think we all agree that the Constitution was not written for us. It wasn't written by us, but we are American citizens, and we have had amendments to include us. The lack of knowledge, the lack of knowing what the Constitution says, will maintain that we remain as slaves. Because how can we practice the law if we don't even know the law, if we don't even know our rights? I love the idea that the talk about who should have the right to vote. The ignorant, the educated, who says who's educated, what type of test? That's another topic. I still believe that economics and education is our way out. But if you go back, for every Frederick Douglass, you had a Booker T. Washington. For every Martin Luther King Jr., you had a Malcolm X. So should we try to work within the system or create a system of our own through any means necessary? So these are good topics that we need. But at the end of the day, the one thing that we can control as a community today is not them putting their boot on our necks or the Constitution. Is how are we educating our own community, our children, and them knowing their rights based on without us having to send them to school. So I go back to education, and that's what I do. And so I'm looking forward to coming back on the panel with you brothers and talking more.
All right, OG man, closing comments.
I agree. Education is going to be key, to understanding the Constitution and whether it's a hypocrisy document or whether it's something that we can really use to our benefit. We have proven throughout history that we can achieve things. You know, we had Black Wall Street. You know, I even look at some of the politicians that were there doing reconstructions and how they talked about the black politicians were like baboons. Okay, so I think education is very important, and not to, and I think moving forward, our people can no longer imitate our oppressor. We can't keep doing or trying to imitate our oppressor because capitalism is not going to work for us. We need to learn how to share, and sharing ain't in the Constitution, and it's not in capitalism. That's why we can't get a lot of things done because the system do not want to share. Listen, we talk about reparations. Reparations turn into like a joke. Every year I see something come up, reparations. Okay, show you how prejudiced the system is. If you gave every black man, woman, and child in America $10 million, that still don't make up for reparations, but just give them $10 million, what do you think they're going to do with it? Boost the economy. But they're so prejudiced, so racist, they won't even do that. That's my comment.
All right. Ray Lewis, final comment.
Yeah, Constitution, no, not for us. I stand with my toxin and standing process, and I write my own constitution outside of this corporation.
All right. Ted.
As long as we are captive in this man's land, you better learn what his book's about. You better learn his tactics. Because if you don't, all you're gonna do is just keep complaining about how bad he is. He know he bad. And then if all you're gonna do is talk about how bad he is, then he's gonna take that and continue to do you bad. But the day that we begin to educate ourselves on who we are, on the power that has been bequeathed to us in the Constitution, in the Emancipation Proclamation, and the Triad Amendments of the 13th, 14th, and 15th, and the 1861-62 Confiscation Act, and the Anti-Ku Klux Klan Act of the 1870, 72, 73, etc., we are lost. And you got to think about this a little bit. You know, sometimes people like to hide things right in front of you so that you don't see it. And I'm weary of people say, don't read this, don't read that. Why? Because you're not in it. And I began to get suspicious, and I began to look into the Constitution. I realized some stuff, y'all, and I hope to share this with y'all in the future that will help us to move forward in the land of our captivity and become the free men that we're supposed to be. So I'm not too much into talk about how bad the man is. I've done that most of my life. The man knows he's bad. We need to show the man how to get him food off of us. But most importantly, the last thing I want to say, most importantly, more than the man, we need reparations and healing among ourselves. Because if we don't love and respect ourselves, why should anybody else? And that's true no matter what color you are. You don't love yourself, ain't nobody else gonna love you, man. So
That's true.
our souls need to be healed from the wounds of self-inflicted pain.
Oh yeah.
I'm on the next podcast, OGs.
Yeah. One more thing.
Keep power going now.
Oh yeah. One more thing.
Thank you.
No. One more thing.
Yeah, go. I'm back, y'all.
Okay. Ted, let them know what you got coming up on June 2nd.
If they want to participate on June 2nd, well, I don't know if you have. You know what? Maybe not, Bobby, because we only have but a couple of seconds here, and I don't want to create any confusion because it's pretty controversial what we're doing. You know, it's cutting edge, man, and I don't want to start a whole nother conversation and maybe get misunderstood as to what my strategy is and what I'm doing.
Okay,
and I don't want to do that right now. But
I'm interested.
Soon, y'all gonna hear about it one way or the other. You will hear about what we can ready to do on June the 2nd. Now I'll say this much to you: if you want to know what it is, my phone number is 424-248-4219. You call me, and we'll talk privately offline what it is. And if it doesn't resonate with you, don't hate me. Just go about your business.
We love you, Ted. We love you. You know, we love you. We love you. Ain't no haters on this one here. Ain't no haters on this one.
I'll make sure I get you the number. Get everybody the number that's on here.
Yeah,
I'll make
please call me, brothers. We'll talk.
Yeah. All right then.
Bobby,
all right.
Thank you so much for doing this, brother. We acknowledge you, and we support you, and we salute you for allowing us this platform. Right, brothers? OGs?
Yes,
Sir. Yes, sir.
That's
Oh
hard
I,
yeah.
work to do, Bobby. That's not easy what you're doing. It's hard work, man.
Oh well. Hey, between all of y'all are the ones that help push me to keep me going, keep me motivated to do what I do. So, and yeah, and I'm much appreciated that all of y'all took your time out to come be on here today. And we're
No
gonna get it
problem.
again. We're gonna set up again in the near future, y'all. So y'all get ready for it. We don't have a segment name for this yet. That's how fresh this is. You wait till we come
At
back
least
with it.
before the election, Bobby. We got to do one before the election.
Oh, we're
Oh
gonna do
yeah.
it. We're gonna do it very, very soon, very soon. So, hey, all right, y'all, we out of here and peace
All
out
All
for
right.
right.
right now.
Thanks for attending the Bobby Buck Show.
Welcome to the Bobby Buck Show, where we interview the up-and-coming artists, entrepreneurs, and movers and shakers. Hello, everybody. We're back again here on the Bobby Buck Show on the podcast. And today we're going to be discussing the word voting. So, should voting be a privilege? And does our vote really count? And on today on my podcast, I got some very special guests. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to let them get a 30-second elevator pitch, introduce who they are, and then we're going to get started. So, see, my first person I see is Brandon Ivy. Go ahead and let people know who you are.
Hey, what's going on, Bobby? Thank you for inviting me. My name is Brandon Ivy, Los Angeles, California. I'm a husband, a father, graduate of Morehouse College, and I am the first and only Black-owned crypto education company in the world. My crypto education courses are being used in companies, universities, and my own company itself.
All right, thank you. Melvin Ishmael Johnson. Next.
Melvin Ishmael Johnson, Drama Sage Coonrhyme, and By Mail Press, creating books about African American history and also about working in the Skid Row area.
All right, thank you. Ray Lewis.
Hey, greetings, everyone. My name is Raymond Lewis. I'm a Watertitan from noble Bantu, Irish, and Choctaw descent. Greetings.
All right. Come on, Clebo Smitty, let them know who you are. You're on mute right now. You're on mute. You're on mute, sir.
My bad. Sorry. Thanks again, Bobby, for the invite. Hello, everyone. My name's Clebo Smitty. That's my rap name. I'm a gospel rapper, author, poet. I'm also an actor by the name of Cliff Ford. I've been in several film and TV with over the last 2 years, and I'm also a pastor. That's the highest that I've been called to do. And I represent Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, working in Atlanta. I'm a student of theater from Payne College and a musician out of Alcorn State University.
All right, thank
I'm
you,
also
sir.
a father of two.
There you go. You gotta get that in there. All right, brother Umar.
Assalamu alaikum and greetings, everyone. My name is Umar Hakeem and Courage Foundation, a social enterprise based in Compton, California. And I'm always excited to be among these bright minds, especially the Skid Row Brigade. I'm a proud member of the brigade. Woo!
Thank you for that. All right, now, Mr. OG Man, let people know who you are. You unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now? Thank you very, very much for inviting me once again. You know, I'm always thrilled to get with Bobby, man, and the rest of you brothers on some real topics that's not being talked about on the news. You know what I'm saying? I'm here today. I'm a member of the Skid Row Brigade, but I'm here today representing the CCP, which is a Committee for Community Politics. Okay, so I want to stay on the grassroots with our politics and about what we can do to empower our own peoples in this country where we still a captive, you know. So that's why I'm here today. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank each and every one of you for coming on today, and we're going to go ahead and get right to it. So I'm going to go with the first question. What about voting? Should voting be a privilege? Should everybody really be able to vote, or should we have some type of standard for voting? So who want to take that first?
I'm going to just go around like you did before, Bobby.
Okay, all right. Let me go. I go with Mr. Brandon Ivy.
Throw that one on me. This could be controversial because we're talking about something that should be a fundamental right for every American adult citizen to participate in our system of government. But at the same time, is it seen as a privilege to be able to do so? So there's an argument where we've got a whole bunch of uneducated people that have no idea what politics is, who they're voting for, what the issues are, and their vote can actually become dangerous. Then you've got those that say, well, I've got the education, I've got the money, I've got the right last name, I was born in the right family, I'm the upper class, I have a right to vote, like that movie Starship Troopers. Should it be a duty? Now, this is all can be irrelevant based on what the Supreme Court just came down, which is on everybody's mind about presidential immunity, which we've never encountered before, where a president can basically suspend voting, suspend all this stuff. So are we even too late to have this discussion? So, Bobby, you're going to have to bring it up another time for us to come back and talk about that, about there's an issue on they can take away what we fought for in the civil rights in everything we've had up to this point. So, yeah, I like this topic. Should voting be a right or is it a privilege? I got to go with my grandparents and what they fought for. And that for the longest time, we didn't even have the right to vote. So coming from that standpoint of us not being seen as humans, us being not seen as having the we're not smart enough or we're not humans enough to be able to vote in this system that represents us, it should be a natural born right. But on the other hand as well, there's a lot of dumb people out there, I'm sorry to say, that can harm our system by voting, and they're not trained to know what they're voting for. So if we go that route, should we as a community make sure that we educate our own people when it comes to voting? But I gotta stand on just based off of history. We're not in a position of privilege to be able to say, I don't think you're smart enough to vote, because we all been put down. I got to lean on the side of it's a right, no matter what you know, your education level, how much your bank account is, where you were born, the color of your skin. Everybody should have the right to vote when they hit a certain age. So that's where I stand on it.
All right, thank you for that, brother Ivy. Now we're going to Mr. Melvin Ishmael Johnson. What do you believe?
Yeah, I believe voting is a right in any kind of democratic society, especially a capitalistic society that we live in. Voting is a right, and it's a right to it goes a little farther than that. It's a right to vote, and it's also a right not to vote. If you don't want to vote, you don't have to vote, but it's your right to vote. Going back to especially from where I grew up in the Mississippi Delta. The brother mentioned Alcorn. I'm familiar with Alcorn, all up in that area like that. And one of the things that you have to keep in mind, I'll be quick with this, is when they disenfranchised, they took the vote from the descendants of the chattel slaves of America who had won all of these voting rights in relationship to the 15th Amendment. And then you have the 1890 Mississippi Convention and Constitution, in which they disenfranchised Black people in Mississippi, and they used that model to lay it out for all of the southern states, et cetera, like that. I think the key thing to keep in mind in relationship to voting, especially now, and especially for the next generation, we have to look at voting as a tool that we can use to empower the next generation. We can't take the vote from them. We should be doing some kind of political education to show them how to utilize their vote. See, right now, what we're dealing with when you're talking about these two political parties, the Democratic and the Republican parties, you're talking about two sham parties. It's something that Malcolm X used to say when he talked about the double reverse. And then what he was talking about, remember, Malcolm really speaks to a lot of young people who can understand what he's talking about. But the so-called educated generation, they don't have a clue what Malcolm was talking about. What he was talking about in relationship to that, he was talking about the racist Democratic Party that in 1932, how they laid out the pattern where Black people could move from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, supporting Franklin Delano Roosevelt and forgetting that the Democratic Party is a party of the Klan, the party of the Confederacy, party of slavery, et cetera, like that. But also keep in mind and what they did in the early 50s. In the early 50s, they did the double reverse again because they moved, it was a 4-point plan of when they created the White Citizen Council and the Sovereign Committee. One of the points that they had in there was to move the white Southerners from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. So that's what we have now. Basically, what we need to understand the power of that vote and the key political education to figure out a way to keep them from splitting up the vote into a lot of different sectors that really dilute the power. When you're talking about Black people being involved with the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, et cetera, like that. I think where we at now, we can't be either one. We got to understand the trick that they play with that. If we're going to register, we're going to keep that vote, but you register as independent and you support the people that have the best agenda that's going to help the community. That's where I'm at now with that.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead, Mr. Ray. What do you believe?
Okay.
It should be a right or a privilege.
Well, about voting, I take it like this. It's an op. Voting in this whole structure was placed here by some other people. Before there was voting, these autochthons, these indigenous people had their own way of life until these 13 colonies came over here. And when these 13 colonies came over here, they want you to vote. So in voting, you're gonna give up your right to your identity, and they're gonna claim like the Naranci Indians in 1500s. They had to give up their identity to vote. And when they gave up their identity, they became African American. Same thing with so-called African Americans when they were considered slave or indigenous, whatever, because we really don't know. But once they agreed to say, well, I'll be an African American, then you can vote. But in all these votings, when you do vote, you lose all your rights. But I would say this about voting. I think I like it if I have something to do with the person who I'm voting for, and I know he's gonna represent me and what I need. These people who up there to vote for, I'm gonna do my right. My right is not to vote. That is one of my rights. I'm gonna rebel from either one of them. I don't like them. So voting, I feel, is an opt to take you away from your identity, because it all lies in your identity, because it attaches you to a land. And if you're not attached to any kind of land or any kind of culture, you're dead to the world. You subject to their rules. So about voting, I would like to go back to the old way, man. This so-called corporation took all the information from the Algonquin Indians about the Constitution and all of this, so they didn't know what they were doing. So hey, voting, long as I can have something to do with the person who's going to be in office and they reflecting of me and my constituents, I'm for it. But as of now, no, I'm not cool with that. No.
Okay. Okay, I got you. I appreciate that. Let me go home, Mr. Klebo Smitty. Make sure you turn your mic on.
Yes, sir. As far as voting is concerned, I feel if you natural born citizen of this country, you should have the right to vote, because it's a government thing anyway. As far as black people's concerned, the vote was never for us, but now they're pandering us for our vote. And I have a question: if we're the minority, why they care about our vote so much? It's so many lies going on, around with this government. They want our vote, and they really don't care. The Democrats pandering our vote, and they think the only thing that black people care about is racism, and that's clearly not the case. We have far more concerns, more than just racism. We have our own concerns within our own community, within our own families, within our own lives, like economics and health, education, but the government, the Republican, the Democrat, the left wing, the right wing, the same bird to keep us black folk oppressed is pandering for our votes. So neither president is any good, because Biden wrote the crime bill and now he got dementia. Trump ain't never liked black folks, but for what he can get out of us. So they pandering for our vote. So let's look. Trump put in Supreme Court, racist Supreme Court judges. Biden supposedly is not. That's the only thing you can look forward to. Who you think gonna put in the right judge? Because then we also concerned about the criminal system, because that is head heel on our neck too. We got everything against us, and they want our vote. So the vote is really on the individual. What you think you're gonna get out of it, which mainly is nothing if you're not in a certain class. Just to say, well, I'm popular with the Democrats and I went popular with the blacks, or I'm smart with the blacks on the Republican. It's all about division. But if you're a natural, according to the government, natural born citizens should have the right to vote. And I think that the vote should never be taken away, even from so-called criminals or people that have committed crimes or felons. They say a felon can't vote. I think that should be eliminated. I think everyone should have the right to vote, whether they committed a crime or not, born in America. If you're born in America, you should have the right to vote.
All
That's
right.
how I feel.
I appreciate that. And then go to Brother Umar.
From an Islamic standpoint, every man and woman has the right to give say-so in their community. So I believe voting is a right. But in today's society, the restrictions that's been put upon us, whether you've been formerly incarcerated or You just don't want to go do it. It is converted into a privilege. I think there's a prerequisite. No, not I think. I feel that there's a prerequisite that goes along with our voting. As our brother Melvin mentioned, we should not vote without having an agenda. Because if not, we don't know how to measure the candidates who are running. If we vote without an agenda, we don't have a measuring stick on who to vote for. And then when it comes to the power situation, will my vote create more political influence for my community? So I believe voting is a natural born right, but in today's society, because of restrictions in our historical, the Voting Rights Act it has become a privilege. So, I really believe that knowing the three purposes of power should help shape our voting power.
All right. All right. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to go to Mr. OG Man and get your thoughts.
Okay. I just put something in the chat. I wanted to deal with America. America started this off, only people with property could vote. It was a privilege. I want to deal with the system we in. It was a privilege. Even with Reconstruction, we know about the black codes. When they started, just took the right from black people, instituted black codes where we couldn't even vote no more. Paying a poll tax. So I want to just go back to what I want to finally say about the Constitution. This system was designed by the white man, and he created amendments and other things to change it when he needed to change it for him. He should have been the United States White Constitution. That's what they should have named it, because we wasn't even in it, and we still ain't in it. We still ain't in it. Because you gonna vote. They got you gonna say you gonna vote on Biden or Trump, whoever you want to vote on. What about the electoral system? There's only 280 some people in the electoral system. They the one that really vote. They the one that really vote. All you do is throw your little vote in there called a popular vote. And how many presidents have lost behind the popular vote? Trump won with the Electoral College. He didn't win with no popular vote. The popular vote is everybody. So it is a rigged system. You think you vote, but you vote for the Electoral College, which is 280 people that you can't even name them. You don't even know who their name is. You didn't vote on them, did you? I didn't want to say, see, we're in a key position now because, like he said, they're pandering for our vote. It must mean something. Just like the 2/3 human, it meant something too. We were slaves when they came up with that one, using black folks, slaves, as leverage for the Electoral College. The Electoral College is what elects the president. Kamala and them ain't tell you about that one. Biden ain't tell you about that one. Oh, we gonna get out there and vote. But it's the Electoral College that elects the president, not the popular vote. Now, I do believe if you in this country, you need to register to vote. Because like Melvin said, it's a tool. It's like a hammer and a nail. Like Ray said, the candidate is the nail. We are the hammer. If you find somebody to vote on, hit it with the hammer. But if we ain't got nobody to vote on like right now, don't vote. This is like the Civil War. Let them white folks fight this one out. Let them go on and fight. We don't even need to vote. Because we're going to deal with whatever situation that comes up. If Trump wins, we'll deal with that. Biden wins, we'll deal with that. But to vote on a lesser of two evils, we shouldn't even Come on, man. We should have more pride in ourselves. We should have more respect for our own self. Oh, Trump get in, the world gonna come to an end. Do you think we gonna die if Trump get in? You think niggas gonna vanish if Trump get in? We not going nowhere. We not going nowhere. I wish my brother was on it because we talking about solutions. Voting is just one solution, one tool. It's one tool. It's not a solution. It's one tool out of many. We need to get back to the Felix the Cat back and talk about what Marcus Garvey was talking about and talk about some of the other people. Didn't no slaves wasn't talking about no civil rights. They were talking about freedom. And for some reason, after 150 years, we don't even know what freedom is. Just like peace in the neighborhood. We don't know what peace is. We ain't never had it. Democracy. This democracy they talking about every day, we ain't never had it. George Floyd didn't have it. So all this stuff they talking about, don't get fooled up here no more. We getting tricked up here. There's so many things that we could be doing, just like we get all this stuff in the diaspora. People want black folks to come to Africa. People want them to come to the Caribbean. Hey, we need to be at the UN. We talked about that before. We don't need to be in no Supreme Court. You see, that court ain't about shit. It ain't about nothing. And you got a couple black folks on there too. So just having some black folks in office don't mean nothing. And it ain't gonna be no more Marcus Garvey, no more Malcolm X. It's gonna be some Byrons. It's gonna be some Melvins. It's gonna be some Clevo. It's gonna be some Umar. We don't need none of them other people no more. We just need to go back, find out what they taught us, and start implementing some of that stuff. And quit being so scared. I just read an article today. The women in the Democratic Party talking about, well, if you bypass Kamala Harris, the women in the Democratic Party, we're going to tear the party up. Because they all emotional. Kamala Harris ain't never did nothing for black folks. Never, ever. And she ain't going to never be no president. Ever. And if she was a president, she ain't going to do no more than Obama did. Gave her some phones. So knock it off. We need to start stepping it up. Think about some other stuff. And we need to start a movement. We ain't voting. We need to let them know we ain't voting till you give us something. Until you give us something, we ain't giving you nothing. Because we going to be here anyway. We like cockroaches. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't got to bow down to this system that was never, ever created for us. You gonna make an amendment. Amendment that didn't mean shit. It didn't mean nothing. We still ain't got nothing. How you around? We need some civil rights. No, we need our human rights. And America can't give us that. Only the UN. That's why they don't want us at the UN. That's why they do not want. What you think all America went to the UN and told them the rest of the world that America ain't fair. This ain't the land of opportunity. For a few smart ones, see? The ones that can read and write. The ones that do got a little knowledge. Yeah, we can maneuver through the system. But the average brother on the block can't even write a proposal. He can't even write a proposal. So no. The voting is a privilege. It's always been a privilege. For one time, it was for the people who had property. I just got the whole fact check, man. Come on, man. The Naturalization Act allowed free white people to be born outside the United States to become citizens. I got all kind of places here, man. Come on, man. People that gave us the right to vote, and then the next week took it from us. This is their system, just like when you create your own organization, Brandon, Melvin, you can change your organization rules whenever you want to, can't you? That's what America gonna do. When they see you even getting close to something, they're gonna change the rules. So I do believe you should vote. I heard what you said about the independent party. No, we need to join the Republican Party, join the Democratic Party, join every damn party they got. But bring the bacon home. Don't go join the party and become loyal to the Democrats. I'm loyal to the Democrats. I'm loyal to the Republicans. No, be loyal to black folks. And don't be arguing with another nigga because he went to the Republican Party or you in the Democratic Party. As long as you ain't loyal to them, as long as you loyal to black folks, go join the party. Because you don't know what's going on in the Republican Party because you don't go there. You don't know what's going on in the Democrat because you don't go there. You don't know what's going on in the Independent Party because you don't go there. You rely on somebody else to tell you what's going on. You know? No. We need to be very active. And what Melvin said, we need political. We don't need to go to church every Sunday. We need to be going to political education classes every damn day. You spend all your time in church praying for something. Learn how the system really works. And then, again, we should be, you know what? We should be going back to Africa, but with some money. We should have to pay for no passport. You didn't pay for no passport to get here. And when you study Liberia, Sierra Leone, they pay for black folks to go to Africa. But the black folks went over there acting ignorant. They acting like white folks. So that's something we can't do either. We can't go to nowhere, Caribbean, diaspora, Africa, and act like white folks. We can't do that. We got to change, man. It's a new day for real. We got to take the knowledge that we really know and use it. So yeah, vote. But don't vote. Not voting is a tool too. If you let these folks know we're not voting, let them fight it out for their own self. Because Trump ain't talking about going and getting none of one of y'all. He talking about going and getting Nancy Pelosi and all of them. That's what he's talking about going and getting. Now, and Trump is not the problem. It's the people that's going to be around Trump if he wins. Like Hitler. Hitler didn't put nobody in the gas chamber. It was the people around him that did it. So we need to pay a lot of attention to these Marco Rubios, you know, Tom Cruise, all these ignorant-ass white people that's in office. We need to pay more attention to them because they the one that's going to be doing what Trump say do. And some are going to just do what they want to do. So the voting, again, is a tool. I agree with that. But it's a tool that's only going to get you so far. It's not no solution to our problems. And what Ted said, we need some healing among ourselves, for real.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday.
We need to heal our own self.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday about that. But you spoke on something I was gonna bring up anyway. But after talking with Ted yesterday, though, he couldn't be here today. But he was saying out of everything that we're doing, healing should be the most important because we all are operating off of trauma. Even trauma from slavery generation that we, like I said, the battle is unseen. And so we're dealing with a lot of that, but that's a whole nother topic too. But you was already speaking on something I was going to bring up about does our vote really count? And I know Brandon probably know more a little bit about this, about with the, where they're going toward the electoral college and all that and the popular vote. So I'm going to see if Brandon want to tackle this one.
Well, actually, yeah, OG Man said a lot. One thing that, especially in today's age, that even though voting is a right, and we also have the right not to vote, I won't subscribe to us not voting. I will always subscribe to us using that voice, no matter how much we feel it's going to be heard or not. And when we look at the lesser of two evils, where we say, where will our vote count? We're looking at the left, the Democratic Party. We're looking at the Republican Party. One thing that I heard that I love this statement, because either party, we're still fighting for what OG Man talked about, not just our rights, but our freedom, our right to exist, our right to be recognized, and which party is going to protect us or give us the opportunity to have those rights of human rights. The United Nations is going to do it. They're powerless. They're run by, without the United States, there is no United Nations, because who's going to enforce anything that they have to say? Right now, the enforcement is the United States. but let the United Nations do something that the United States doesn't back, and they're teethless. And we see that happening in Israel and Gaza right now. United Nations wants to shut Israel down. United States is like, nah, we vetoing all that. So we can't even rely on the United Nations for our freedom. We got to do it from within. This is the land we were actually born in. This is the land where our background is in. And we fight for this, for our ancestors that have suffered in that trauma in this land right now. So here's one problem that we've got. Here's a question to ask yourself. If the Republicans win, if Donald Trump wins, and he wins also because we decided to stay home and have a protest vote because the Democrats ain't done nothing for us, and they only come to us every 4 years when it's time for an election. If we say, you know what, we're not going to go that route, and we ain't going to vote, period. And the Republicans and Donald Trump do win, because the only reason why Biden won was because of us. We voted like 97%, 92% on the Democratic side in the last presidential election. So we had 4 years of Biden. What would America look like right now had we had 4 years of Trump for Black people? You might say that the Black people today, we still ain't got it good. Where would it have been under 4 years of Trump? Or where will the next 4 years look like with Project 2025? Where, let me tell you something, and I stated this in high school, I stated this in college, that the system was designed and created to keep white nationalism and white superiority in power legally in check. Because we're now using that same system that was designed to hold us back, is starting to work in our favor, and we're now becoming the more from the minority to the majority. There's more people of color every 4 years. These white people are scared. They're afraid that the system that was designed to protect them is not protecting them anymore. And they are now saying, we need to create a new system, because they're now using the system we created for their benefit. Now, it was never designed for y'all. So we're willing to upturn democracy, upturn freedom, upturn the Constitution. Forget the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. We want to make America great again, which means take it back to the Jim Crow era. Take it back to the civil right before civil rights, to sharecropping. They know not to say slavery, but they use code words when they talk about wokeism, when they talk about with the DEI. That's the new nigger term that they want to use, that they don't want to say to our face, but they'll say DEI is the problem. If I get on an airplane and I see a Black pilot, I'm automatically thinking he ain't qualified. In other words, they're just saying they still don't see us as a human. And if they get in control and they get in power, they're changing the Constitution that we've been working in to have the benefits we have today for the last 50, 60 years, and taking it all the way back to minority control to keep white superiority and supremacy and white nationalism in place. So does our vote count? Absolutely, it counts on where we decide to put that. But we have to educate so people understand there's a difference between popular vote and electoral college vote. We've had presidents, like OG Man said, Trump has never gotten the popular vote. And even the MAGA people are not educated on this. They look at on election night, they look at the damn map, and they see all this sea of red, and they think in their mind, how can Trump lose to Biden? Look at all that red, not understanding it's based on population. You know, you could take half those states, and they don't even equal the population size of Southern California. But all of our votes in Southern California only represent the electoral votes we have in the state. What's 58 something or 60 something electoral votes? You need to have 270 electoral votes to become president. And so these Midwest states that only got 1 million or 2 million people in them have the same amount of electoral voting rights as we do when it comes to population density. So a lot of people feel, man, my vote really ain't going to count. It's more than just voting. It's also making a statement. Now, the only way I could subscribe to let's hold our vote is if we actually do it in mass. We take every African American and say, you know what? F all y'all, we're not voting, period. We're going to sit out and then see what happens. Now, if we do that in a protest vote, there's going to be short-term pain. because now they know, all right, we don't need to do nothing for you. The Republicans, we won. We don't care about what's going to happen to the black people, and they're going to roll everything back on us. What we have to change, as OG Man said, in the Democratic Party, is we're not just voting for you guys because we feel it's the lesser of the two. We're actually going to organize ourselves, and it's not just about voting blue. We're going to pick the right candidates. So Biden, you want to give us lip service? Who's going to run against you? And we're going to let them know in the primary side, if we put our vote for you, you're pledging that this is what you're going to do for us. A, B, C, D, and E. You don't do it, we're going to find another candidate, and we're going to primary you out next time. So if we're going to do it from within, that's how we do it. Instead of just throwing, we're just supporting the Democrats because they're the lesser of two evils. That ain't good enough anymore. So if we're going to have a movement like that, it's going to be from within, and we pick the right candidate that is going to back and that's going to pledge, and that they know there's consequences for you not doing what we voted for you to do. That's how that's going to work. But we have to organize ourselves to be able to do that. And that's always been a problem too, since after the civil rights, to be able to do that. We got the money. We got the resources now that we didn't have in the 60s. We just not organized enough to do it or care enough.
So
that's what I gotta say about it.
Yeah, I like to, is it my time?
Yes, go ahead, Melvin. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I like to point out, I think we should get a better understanding of what we're talking about here when we're talking about voting, because I think we're focusing in on the things where we're weak at, and we're forgetting about the things that we're strong at. Now, and when I say things that we are strong at, is the community. You know, we're concentrating on the federal vote and all like that, when we should be trying to take control of our community. And one other thing that we should keep in mind, I think we're focusing too much on our generation without looking down the path and asking the question, what are we preparing for the next generation, the little youngsters now that's growing up? How are we going to empower them? And then, so it's very important to understand that we must start making our vote count where it can count. See, our vote is, when you move to the federal level, your vote becomes weak and diluted and almost, it don't mean anything. But if you start organizing on these local levels on who's going to sit on that city council, who's going to be on that neighborhood council, and then when you put your nonprofits together, remember the nonprofits, the way they got it laid out, if you're going to put a legitimate nonprofit, I mean, you're going to lay out a board of directors, et cetera, like that. You have to be careful. This is what's important. We're more powerful when we concentrate on the local, the state level, starting with the grassroots and then moving out, you know. Now, another problem that we have right now, and we're going to have to face this problem because it's one of the key things that's holding the communities back as a whole. And Carter G. Woodson, he wrote this book, The Miseducation of the Negro, talking about the educated blacks who were supposed to get that education and reach back for that 90%. And he realized that was a flaw, you know, that Du Bois had developed, and they moved away from that. Now, what happened is the people that came in and fill that void, and we got to deal with that right now. See, when you got these people that call themselves right now the Divine Nine, these Greek letter fraternities and stuff, which are the basic gatekeepers. When you move up on that federal level, talking about Biden and all of them, you know, you're not talking about grassroots people. You're talking about, when you look at all of these cities now, and the mayors of all of these cities, especially their huge black population, just pay attention to what Greek letter fraternity that they involved with. Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, you just go down the line. See, these people, they don't have an alliance to the masses sitting in these communities. We got to understand that first. For number one, we got to move them out of the way, because that's the main stumbling block that we're dealing with right now, where so many of our young people ended up in the penal system, living in the streets and all that kind of stuff like that, because we have allowed them to become the leaders. These are the ones. So when we're talking about making our vote powerful, we're talking about starting at this grassroots level. And then we're talking about being concerned on who's going to sit on that city council. You know, I've always felt that we should have found us a skilled person, one of these little geniuses in that Skid Row area, and then we get everybody behind that person and sit that person on the city council. So that's what I'm talking about. Now we got to. It's not about us anymore, you know. It's about how we're going to prepare this next generation to compete with all these other ethnic groups that's, especially out here in California. You know, this is the laboratory here. When you got all these ethnic communities, everybody got a community, but the African Americans who's laying in the streets and living in tents. See? So it's about organizing. It's about making that vote powerful. You know, this is why they were so afraid of the Black Panthers, because the Black Panthers, not only they organize on the grassroots level, the state level, the federal level, the international level, the whole thing. They understood it. See, but the generation we got right now. See, we caught up with the fraternities and the NBA and the WNBA and all this madness out here, you know, and we laying it up where the next generation, when we're no longer around, they're gonna be at the bottom in the wealthiest country on the globe. See, so that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about the vote, how to make this vote powerful. Man, we don't care. And then don't let them fool you with this little Supreme Court decision that coming back talking about Trump and what he can do and all that kind of stuff. Trump is not the president. Don't you understand that they just made Biden the president now? So if Biden want to go kill Trump and all that, kill who he want, he can do that now. It ain't, we got to understand all that's trick bag, man. Let them play those little games. We got to organize. If we're going to save our people and poor people, we got to start organizing on this grassroots level. We got to understand where the majority of our people reside at today, not in these cities where we got all these concretes and all that kind of stuff. We reside in these southern states that got land where you can grow food and all that kind of stuff. Man, over 80% of our people reside in these areas. See, so that's what I say in relationship to that.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So I'm gonna say, anybody got a few more words you want to say on this? And I think we might can get ready for a part 2.
Yeah.
So
I got one thing to say. One thing.
Yeah.
The president right now is a Democratic president, and within these last 4 years, we have lost affirmative action. We don't have that anymore. They just voted to make homelessness illegal. Now it's against the law. They're going to implement that. If you don't have nowhere to stay, they're going to be locking you up. They just did that. That's under Democrats. That's under the Democrats. So I use those 2 examples to show you that it don't matter, because they both are designed to oppress us. You know, we give Israel $10-point-some million every year. Israel has free education, college, and free health. They say we can't afford it. We give Israel $10 million every year. The reason why America don't have free health care is because Black people. We can't give them Black folk free health care. The reason why we don't have free education because of Black people. We can't give them black folks free education. And it's so all this stuff about we gonna vote here and vote there, that's cool. Vote local, yeah, that's great. We do background checks on the politicians and make sure they're gonna vote for what we think, right? What we need in the community. But please understand that politicians are whores. And just like a whore on the street, she has a price. So I got an agenda to help black people. And I go to my politician, I say, yo, I'm gonna give you this money to help my people. He like, okay, for sure. Yeah, we gonna get this good. We gonna get this good. I done gave him $10-20 million to make sure this happen. But white boy Joe across the street, he got $1 billion to give to the man to make something happen. Every hoe got a price. So we got to change the whole thing. The system is not for us. We got to break it. We got to have something that's going to be for sure for us and have to have the accountability. You understand? We have to do that. We have to have, you know what? Cinco de Mayo, the Mexicans celebrate Cinco de Mayo because they took up arms and fought for their freedom. And on May 5th, they got it. They celebrate the day they got their freedom. We talking about Juneteenth when they told us we was free. We gonna celebrate Juneteenth. Thank you, boss. Thank you, master, for giving us a day. Thank you, master, for celebration. Let's have a party. Ain't no real change coming until we take up arms. Real change come from pain. You want real change, you gotta know you ain't playing. We keep voting every 4 years. We vote Democrat, we vote Republican, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. 97, my brother said, 97% voted Biden in, and we done lost affirmative action. Under Democratic rule, the Democratic president got autonomy now. But we need to wake up and realize ain't none of this for us, no matter how intelligent or how dumb we are. It's not for us. We need to come to the conclusion of what we gonna do as a people. What we gonna do as a black race, as a indigenous American race, as Africans who were brought over here, and what are we gonna do? Because obviously, out of all these hundreds of years or whatever, however long we've been allowed to vote, 50, 60, 70 years, however long we've been allowed to vote, 80 years, whatever the number is, it ain't working out for us. It's not working out for us. Because if I can go to a politician with some money and change a policy, Malcolm X said, changing the law don't change the heart. You can change the law, but you can't change the heart of men. You understand? Most High God hardened Pharaoh's heart. He will harden it to bring about a better lesson, an eternal lesson. See, I spank you for doing something, you turn around and do it again, I'm gonna have to keep spanking your ass. You understand what I'm saying? So he had to harden his heart. The man had to lose his son before he realized he was wrong. You understand? Before they got their freedom, God had to break the oppressor. Do you understand what I'm saying? All this kumbaya ain't gonna work because that snake gonna kumbaya right with you and bite you in the ass while you sleep. That's all I gotta say.
All right.
On that note, okay, like Melvin said, like I believe what Melvin said about the grassroots organization. That's what I've been doing for 20 years. But grassroots is grassroots. Grassroots. Karen Bass been married. She ain't gave a shit. So all that thing, Obama was in there, he ain't did shit either. I don't care what color you are. As long as you do the right thing, we got to get off that color shit. I mean, it was good, because the white man was all this, okay, all white men ain't bad, and all black people ain't good. Okay, so we passed that black and white stuff. Just because you black don't mean you black enough to go do nothing. Okay, just because you white don't mean... And we dealing with a man system who can change it when he want to. You can't change the Senate. You can't change the Constitution, but they can. And like you said, we're trying to use their system to make them do something that they don't want to do. And when they figure they don't want to do it, they're going to change the rules. They have the right to do that because they created this system. Not for you or for me, but for them. We got to get that out of here that they created it for us. We were ignorant then. 3.5 million slaves were ignorant. I'm just wondering how many of us are ignorant today. That's our problem. How many of us are ignorant today? And like I said about Sierra Leone and Liberia, you can't imitate this man's system and become successful. They tried it when they went to Liberia. They went over there and tried to enslave the Africans. Did the same thing in Sierra Leone. Got their black asses kicked out of there too, trying to be white. And we still trying to be white. Stop it. And being black, I ain't trying to be no African because they sold me. We are a new breed of black men. We not no damn Africans. Okay? We got some of them cultures we can dig back like on anything. Reach back and get the positive stuff. But I ain't trying to get no chicken bone and all that kind of shit. I don't need none of that shit. Come on, nigga. This is a new day. We are American black. And I like what Brandon said about the UN. So I have no respect for the American vote on the UN. You got a sister in the UN doing all that shit for America. A black woman. She ain't black. She just dark-skinned. So just because you black, that don't make you black. This wouldn't make you black. And this right here, you have that black heart. And if you got a black heart and a black mind, you ain't no capitalist. And you ain't no real Democrat. Let me just ask you something. If they go to you see how the Supreme Court did? If they go to the polls tomorrow and vote all y'all back into slavery, are you going?
No.
Why not? You don't believe in democracy rule?
Hey, well, I'ma die.
You ain't, no, the majority of white folks say y'all gotta go back to slavery. You ain't gonna go. Why? Well, you ain't no Democrat. You don't believe in democracy no more? You don't believe in majority rule no more? Make up your mind. Do you or don't you? Because them white folks say you go back into slavery tomorrow. They try to do it a slick way. You know, changes back 18th. But they trying to put the black ass right back in slavery in a serious way. Are you going? That's my question. Are y'all going? I don't get no answer on that one. No, we don't even believe in democracy. We don't even believe in that crap. On the real. Not when you can change. Listen, we all went to school. We all voted on the class president. When we voted on the class president, they didn't run in there with no electoral college. Come on, man. We ain't even accepting no electoral college because it came from slavery. There's only one motherfucking vote that's supposed to count, and that's a popular vote. One man, one vote if you want to do it. You don't come in with no electoral college, and then we're going to act like we don't even see it. We already know the electoral college is what vote. Not us. So we gotta quit fooling ourselves. You know I'm voting though, but don't fool your own damn self. Don't be stupid. It's only one tool. If we rely on this here, that's why we're in a situation right now. We relied on that. And what Melvin said about them Greek fraternities, he right. Kamala Harris came to L.A. and she didn't walk through Skid Row. Biden came to L.A. He didn't come through Skid Row. Trump come, he ain't gonna come either. So we already, come on, man. And them fraternities, they're not gonna mobilize the community, not the grassroots. They can't even go down on 52nd and Main Street without getting fucked up. You better not come in, you better go to Compton and Watts with that crap. So they hanging with the little bourgeoisies. They hang in that little area right there with the little bushies. And then they try to, because some of us are not that literate, they just tell us what to do. I already knew it was messed up when I started voting Democrat and I went into the poll and I said I voted on one, and they said, well, just go down the line. I said, I don't know none of these people. Oh, just vote Democrat. That's how ignorant we is. We put the level on people's name we don't even know. Now, if you ain't brainwashed, what is you? But I agree. Start on the grassroots. That means the bottom. Because if you organize the bottom like Marcus Garvey did, and the Black Panther, the people will give you. We don't need the government to help us. How much money do the black people raise every year? What's our income? Someday we're gonna do Black Wall Street. And man, when you talk about the people in where Black Wall Street, they so shook up they don't even want to talk about Black Wall Street. Them people are so scared. 2024, they don't even want you talking about no Black Wall Street. So our people, man, like you said, if you're gonna put these up, you gotta put them up, man. And all the other stuff the Democrats are doing, they scared of Biden because he know, Trump gonna lock their asses up. And they ain't finna lock up no white folks. That's why I'm glad we got some black folks over there. Little Tim Scott and the rest of them over there. Go on over there. We need to be in both parties, but not loyal to neither one. Be loyal to black folks. As long as you bring it home the bacon, it don't make no difference becoming a Republican or not. If the Democrats lose, we bring it from the Republican Party. Republicans lose, we bring it from the Democrats. But if you only in one camp, you doomed. That's a dumb strategy. And I don't even know, what do it mean to be a Republican? What do it mean to be a Democrat? What do it mean?
That's a good question, though.
I'm a black person. That comes first. Just like Bloods and Crips. I'm black first before I be a Crip. I'm black first before I be a Blood. Be black first. Before you become a Democrat or a Republican or an independent or a communist or whatever you socialist, be black first.
Well, all right. But I tell you what, I don't know if I want to stop this or keep it going, but I was going to say, what we do on this first part, we can say everybody give their last words and everything, and then if y'all want to, we can start a round two, as if y'all ain't got nothing else to do. But anyway, so everybody can give your last words, and we'll get out of here.
I just want to pick up where Melvin left off at, because he was speaking about the what do you say, the divine non and fraternities, the bourgeois, whatever they call them, the uppity deputies. Only thing I like to say about these fraternities and these HBUs is that they took on the Greek fraternity. And we do understand that the Greek fraternity got all the information from the ancient Tamarans. So why are these so-called black or melanated fraternities attaching themselves to Greek, which was a civilization that came later after Tamaray, instead of going to where the original come from? That's just my thing. I notice in all parts of life, you can go to an origin. And the origin will give you most of the time, if you go to the origin, it'll give you a different story that what you thought you knew. Because like what I thought I knew about myself, it's not what it is. What I thought I knew about America, it's not. If you go back like Sankofa, here's an African proverb, Sankofa. If you go back and understand your past, you can project your future because you understand your past. Okay, by that simple understanding, by just going back to America's past, we understand that it was an invasion and murder. It was just a bunch of crazy things that happened, and from that part, it brought up a divide from the people who was here on the land and the people who invaded. And then also for more people who was coming invading to erase the people on the land. If you go back to the 1400s, all these people came over, they say they looked like us. So if anything, we are the true people of this land, but we kind of like brainwashed, confused, because we took on the characteristics of other invaders and listened to them and didn't pay attention to our parents. Because I know doggone well, everybody in here, you can say when you got taught at home something about your history, about your family, then when you got to school, they said something different about it. I know that happened to me, but I'm pretty sure that people can see that. So I don't really believe none of this fake believe stuff of voting for these Democrats or Republicans. I would say about a Republican, Republican was made coming from the matriarch system. You know, you had these council of women that appointed these men to chief to do these things. That's where Republican came from, and mostly all back when the country first got started. Mostly of the European persuasion or pale looking people were basically Republicans, not understanding that that's where we should have been at. That's where we should have stayed. But we went back to Democrats, and since then we've been getting screwed. So I just like to say this, yes, we all do need to get together, and we are a different species. So if we're a different species, we need to label ourselves or name ourselves and attach that to an identity. That's all I have to say. So as of now, I'm attaching my identity to my indigenous heritage.
Well,
Before it's voting, I'm gonna have to really look at these people and get behind someone who's going to be doing something for me in my community before I start casting my vote. Again, that's it. Go for it.
I just like to quickly say in my last comments, you brought up the question about the Greeks, etc. Like that. A great book to read is a book called Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James, and he explained because in that book he explained why it's so important to get these Greek fraternities off of these campuses, out of our communities, etc. Like that, And then just let me say something about the another thing that we have to be aware of. And I come from the area where I come from, Mississippi Delta, right? The area where I come from, for a long time, it was a huge Choctaw Nation area. You had these 5 tribes, that they called the civilized tribes. And we got to understand that the Choctaws, these people were not our friends. They enslaved us. They fought with the Confederacy, etc. like that. And when they went on the Trail of Tears, they took slaves and stuff with them. I just want to point that out, where we keep that in mind, that we were property. That's what made us valuable to the capitalistic system, is the fact that they was able to exploit our labor for nothing. And that's what unified us. That's the descendants of the chattel slaves of America, etc. Let me just touch on one little other thing. You mentioned about where the Republican and Democratic parties come from. The real origins starts with Thomas Jefferson, when they were first the Democratic Republican Party. They were one party all the way up until Martin Van Buren, and then they broke and became just the Democratic Party, And then when you come up to a very important incident in history, was the 1927 flood in the South. You ask some of your grandmothers about that, because that's what laid the foundation for the Depression to come, because you had a flood that covered that area for 4 months, and they tried to re-enslave Black people down there in that Mississippi Delta area, right? And then you had this guy named Herbert Hoover, who was the Secretary of Commerce. He got Robert Moulton, who succeeded Booker T. Washington, et cetera, like that. And they did an investigation and found out that they was trying to put Black people back in slavery. He told them, if you hold back on this report, I'm running for president in 1928. And then when I become president, I'm going to divide up all of this bankrupt land among the Black farmers. And so when they supported him, he became president. He went back on his word and supported the Dixiecrats. And then, so at the next election coming up in 32, he took the Republican Party and supported Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and that's how we got involved with the Democrats. We've been involved with them at the same time. I just like to close out with one other little thing. I'm producing a play coming up in August, and I'm running it 3 weeks. It's called Revolutionary Genocide. And what it's about is when Paul Robeson and William Patterson took the United States before the UN and accused them of attempted genocide against the descendants of the chattel slaves of America. So I'm gonna make sure that all of you get information about that play. William Patterson, he was the one that organized the lawyer for Huey P. Newton when Huey P. Newton shot the police up in Oakland. And his wife was the one that organized the movement for Angela Davis. So I'll keep you guys up on what's happening with that. And thank you very much for giving me a chance to have a few words.
I got
No
some.
problem. Thank you.
By the word, man, I just want to say, both parties, it just, it's like taking two twin brothers, two twin brothers with two different names. That's all. That's why I look at them. You know what I mean? Republican Party, Democratic Party. As I say, I mean, I like I said, I was in the Black Panther Party. I did 7 years. I came home and went to work as a community organizer, and one of the things I had to do was vote. My boss, I had to go register to vote. I worked for one of the most powerful black organizations in Western New York called Build Inc. Now, matter of fact, that's how I found out about Juneteenth, because I went to Texas with them. I was a young man, 26 years old. So I learned, I registered Democrat, worked, in the community, registered people to vote, and a couple of times we had some campaigns in Buffalo. Well, we beat the Democratic Party. That's like PAC committees. The average person don't even know what a PAC committee is. You know what I mean? So, we go through our neighborhoods on election day. We ain't never seen our PAC committee, the Democrat or Republican. But they don't know their structure. Okay? So, now I'm a registered Republican. Why? Because I want to know what the fuck is going on in there. All right? I didn't join no Republican Party. Oh, I want to be a Republican. I'm loyal to. No. I want to know what they're talking about. And you're not going to know what they're talking about unless you in there or know somebody that's in there. And that's our problem with information. We're not getting it from everywhere. We're getting it from one source or another. We're not getting all information. That's what I try to do. I want information coming to me from everywhere. I don't want no one-sided information. I done lived that life already. So both of them are the same to me. But you join a party to bring the benefits home to your community. I don't know what happened when they got up and they got twisted. I don't even know how you get twisted. Okay? And so that's the key thing. It's like foreign aid. If we were our own little country, are we just going to deal with one government, or are we going to deal with a bunch of government to get our resources? And that's what we got to do. We got to deal with each one of them. You know what I mean? They got me dealing with some politicians right now. I had a backlash behind one of them. But it had nothing to do with loyalty. It had to do with me getting the resources and bringing them back to my community. So when you see people like Kamala Harris, Karen Bass, all the rest of them, if you don't see no money coming to your community, then get rid of them. Quit tripping because they black. They black like they not black. They just look black. It's called a mask. They just look black. And see, and we gotta quit voting emotionally. That's why you got what's his name, Cornel West running. Ain't got a chance in hell of winning. A chance in hell to win. But he want your money. Because I'm running for president. Dude, quit playing us. Quit playing us. So we gotta get more intelligent, man. You know what I mean? And reach out. So And don't be looking for the vote as your final solution. No, like I say, man, there's so many other things we could be doing. You know what I mean? Like creating our own organizations. You know, it ain't just the NAACP no more, or push. Everybody, Brian, you got to organize. We've got to create our own organizations and come together. Not wait on somebody. Not wait on ACLU or somebody to help us out. Quit tripping. Create our own. And that's what our leaders taught us way back in 1600 and the 1700s when they was running off and stuff. Get your own. They wasn't relying on no government. Harriet Tubman didn't rely on the government to get it free. y'all niggas was tripping. Y'all tripping.
Yeah. Right.
Because we don't know what freedom is. What is freedom? That's another topic we need to talk about. What is freedom? We don't even know what it is. But I'll tell you this. When you can decide the cost of bread, you free. When you can decide on the cost of your shoes, you free. When I can determine how much I'm going to sell this shirt for, Melvin, I'm free.
I want to say this on top of what OG said. In my opinion, right now, the greatest threat to African Americans is not actually Donald Trump, but it's the people around him and enabling him. Even though we got two parties with their own agendas and not necessarily our best interests at the forefront, what we do know, because they told us so and they have proven it, that whoever the president is the one that is nominating the justices. They're the ones that signing the bills and the law. That's the system that we have to live in today, whether we like it or not. And when Trump got in there, he put 3 conservative justices on there that is going to have the impact on our way of life far beyond after Trump leaves office. They've got a system in place where they want to give qualified immunity to all police officers. In other words, giving them the right to beat our asses in the street, and we can't do nothing about it. So if as a father of 2 young adult sons, black men, that's going to be here in this system, I have to do everything in the power that I have in front of me to make sure that we're not rolled back into a system that's going to make sure that they are going to be treated as secondhand citizens. So we've got to do everything in our power to know that, yeah, we may not like both parties, but I know what side the KKK is on. I know what side white nationalists is on. I know what side the Confederates are on. I know what side that they want to keep white supremacy in front of our faces is on. And they're all supporting Donald Trump. That's what we got to stop in the immediate future. And I love the having another conversation coming back where we want to discuss the United Nations, reparations. What about going back to Africa? I have this talk with my cousin all the time. But OG Man says something else. We actually did do that. Went to Liberia, but we tried to go back there with the white man's mentality, with their system of government, and tried to make it happen over there and got ran out. And the fact of us being a different people, we are. Africans don't see us as them. White people don't see us as them. Just like Mexicans. Mexicans is new. They're from Spain, and the Aztecs and the Incas created a new race. We have to recognize that we are a new race. Even though we came from Africa, we came from different tribes in Africa, not different nations. Europeans drew up the map. But just because we had the same skin color, we weren't the same people. We had different languages, different religions, different ways of life, and how we moved and operated on the continent of Africa. And we all got mixed into that with Europeans here in America to create a new people. So we're not even connected amongst ourselves genetically. We just share the same skin color, and we share the same trauma of abuse. And we need to stop and prevent them having the power to abuse us again. That's what we're fighting for, in my opinion, right now.
You know.
Wait, you're muted, OG.
Oh, am I mute? Oh.
Good. You
Can you hear me? We can look back, man, to Stokely Carmichael and all of them when they were having the Black Power meetings, conferences all across the country. Maybe we don't call it Black Power. Maybe we can. We need to get back to that. That was organizing ourselves. We got to quit trying to get with somebody else to organize us. You know, it's just like you got your own business. Once you got your own business, you reach out to somebody for some assistance or some aid or something like that, but you start your own business. We at the point now, I can't even start no business till they give me some money. I want to do a project, but I need to get some funding from D-Link first. Come on, dude. I've been doing stuff with nickels and dimes for 25 years. And I'm going to tell you something. People will help you, as Melvin knows, when they see you helping yourself. People are quicker to help you when they see you helping yourself. But all that sitting on the sideline begging, which they reducing us to, no. No. So, we're in a good position now, man, because we know what we just said. We're a new group of people. We need to have those dialogues now, that healing. We are a different brand of people. What do we want to do? And we're going to find out, as old days, there's going to be some that want to go kiss the master's ass. There's going to be some of them that want to go do this here. And that's all we need. And we don't have to be mad at the ones that want to go to Candyland. We got to stop that, you know, like I was saying in the neighborhood, somebody hit you. What they was taught when you came up, Brandon? Somebody hit you. Hit them back? No, we can't do that no more. We got to start dialoguing. When you have a problem, the first thing I don't need to do is be hitting you. I need to learn how to have a dialogue with you on our differences. Not calling you an Uncle Tom or a bitch ass nigga. No, let me talk to you and understand. Okay, dude. Okay, well, you go do that. No. So when somebody asks me about Brandon, I can say that. Well, no, this is what he's about.
So you want to talk about Byron Donaldson and his Jim Crow comments on that?
Yeah, all that. You know what I mean? All that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we at a good age now. I mean, we older. I'm older. Melvin older. But as you talk about the young people, we put this in their seed, man, that y'all need to stop knocking each other in the head. You know what I mean? We need our own constitution, man. We need to go back to these Black Power conferences and write our own fucking constitution that our people can live by. Until that, we're going to have to keep living by somebody else's shit. We got to show our kids. Now, I'm pretty sure you show your kids, hey, man, I'm Brandon, I'm the daddy. This is the rules to the house. I don't care what they told you over there. This is the rules to the house. We got to stop that, man, or we ain't going to never be free. I'm a free man. I'm a free man, and I pay the consequences for that, too. Like I said, I did 7 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to pay the consequences for mine, so I'm not worried about Trump or none of them, not really. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to deal with whatever the situation, because we don't know what it's going to look like. It's going to be like this here. No, we don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know. But I know one thing, I ain't going nowhere.
All right, there you. I believe y'all got y'all money's worth in this one. And we're gonna have a whole lot of more great talk. We came up with some great topics today to keep this moving forward and everything. So like I say, this segment is called Men of Action, and we have several different men that pops up in here that's doing a lot of great action out here for us in the community. A majority of everything that was said, especially like organizing at the bottom and worry about what's going on right in front of us first. And then we can focus on everything else later. So I'm going to say thank y'all for checking us out. Thank y'all for watching. And this is Bobby Buck, and we out of here.
Thanks for attending the Bobby Buck Show.